What up, everybody? Welcome to Cornhole Mindset Mania. And that's kind of um, a funny thing because cornhole, to a lot of people who don't play and are as involved as some of us over here, sounds a little crazy, but cornhole is a mindset game once you get past the mechanics, or maybe during. And so I wanted to go over some principles that I've used in my other kind of work with clients where we've helped with weight and body and food and exercise, a lot of focus on motivations. And I wanted to teach these principles to people who are playing cornhole. Of course, you can apply these to anything in your life. I'm going to talk about it in terms of cornhole, but you could apply these principles. For example, today we're going to talk about goal setting. You could do that with anything, right? These things that we're talking about, but cornhole is one of those things where people are seeing that there's a lot of opportunity if you're good at it because there's a lot more money in it now, especially at the very top at the elite level. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity that wasn't there before. And so to some people, it's a silly backyard game where you're throwing a bag into a hole. But for those of us who are really involved, especially with the American Cornhole League, you're starting to notice that, man, this could really turn into something. So one of the things that I hear all the time is I have to work on my mindset during high pressure times during gameplay, highly competitive areas. And we also witnessed how much mindset can impact your game when we watch the number one player in the world, Mark Richards, do amazing, amazing things in a high pressure environment very consistently. And a lot of people said, how does he do it? How is he able to be so consistent at the highest pressure points of a cornhole person's career and not seem to be phased? And so I really think that it's important to start to pay attention to these things because trust me, someone will, and they're going to start to rise to the top, like you've seen with Mark. Although with Mark, it seems like a lot of it's natural from the conversations that I've had with him. But you can learn these things, and so just like you're practicing techniques and shots and different things in your mechanics, it's really important that we also practice techniques and things like that with our mind and exercise that muscle that is our mindset. So that's what I want to do for the next 4 days. I'm also testing out what sort of platforms I like in terms of social media. So today we're here on Facebook. Tomorrow we'll be on Instagram. Hopefully Wednesday we'll be on TikTok. I'm still trying to get approval from TikTok to be able to go live since I just started my profile like a few days ago. And then on Thursday it'll be YouTube. So that is where I will be. If you happen to pop in live, feel free to say hello, or if you're watching the replay, feel free to make comments as well. I will see those. But like I said, today we're going to talk about goal setting, but not like the typical, maybe you've heard of like SMART goals and you've heard of all these different things. I'm going to go from a different perspective. I come from the world of psychology. I also come from the world of mindfulness, so I have maybe some different perspectives than like the average goal setting kinds of conversation. The other thing I want to point out, because maybe you're thinking, I know how to set goals, I know what I want, like this is silly, I don't need this. If you are talking about cornhole mindset, if you're talking about strengthening your mental game of any sport, actually, it's just more specifically, involved in this cornhole world, then it is really important that you come all the way back to the foundation, because often what happens is when something goes wrong, like let's say we feel the pressure and we feel ourselves not performing well under the pressure, we often will like attack that moment, like, oh, it was right here that something went wrong, it was right before I threw that bag that I and then I missed it and shanked it, and it's, I need to go back and figure out what happened there. And if you're doing that, that's a common way to think. You're actually missing the point, which is you have to go back to the foundation, like way before that shot. We need to look at what's going on. And so I always want to go back to the foundation of goal setting, the way we're thinking about this and what we want. Because whatever you believe in spiritually, religiously, or maybe you don't have that belief, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, we are setting goals, we are saying what we want, we're voicing what we want, and then something is assisting in that, whether it's people or whether it's something spiritual, whatever you believe, but nothing can help us achieve our goals unless we are crystal clear on what we want and why we want it. I also interviewed 15 top pros to find out what their motivations are and kind of how their minds are working, and I'm going to go over those with you as well so we can kind of look at this a little bit more deeply. But when we're playing cornhole competitively, everything leading up to that game actually is what impacts our performance. So it's not just what we do in that moment with that specific bag or with that specific day. It's actually way before that. So we want to look at that. And for those of us that have the mechanics down, and I don't mean that you throw every bag in the hole. I mean, like, you've got your shot down. Like, you know how to throw well. It's not very common that when things go wrong, it's physical, because you have the muscle memory. The body knows what to do. It's practice the shots. If you've done it in your backyard with no pressure, then you absolutely don't have a mechanical issue going into the games with pressure, which means now we're looking at the mind. The mind controls the body. So we have to figure out what's happening there in that interaction. So at some point, if you are playing competitively and you care about your cornhole mindset, there was a moment where there was a shift. Something happened where you went from like, oh, this is just like something I'm doing, like playing Uno on a Friday night, like where it's just a fun thing you do and who cares, win or lose, whatever. You're just passing time while the hamburgers cook or whatever. Like, maybe it started there, but at some point it shifted to something more, to like, maybe I can make money off this. Maybe I can be elite at this. Maybe I can be a pro. Maybe I can have a career in this, right? So like something, and whatever yours is, it shifted. And this is the first question I asked these pros was, what shifted? Like, what made you go from that to, I think I can be a pro, or I think I can make a career out of this? So some of the answers I got was, and you'll see a lot of similarities here. I had the talent to rank amongst the best, and I knew I had to put work in, but I could see it. Like, I could see that I was there with them. I started winning a lot of regional and local events. Then the flip side, another pro said some other players came in and kicked my butt. And that's what was like, hey, wait, I don't like to lose. Another one, I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to let my neighbor or partner down, like in playing in an event, so decided to take it more serious. Another answer, winning a women's single event and placing high gave confidence. Someone said with the amount of bags they were making and that consistency, they knew they could be better. Someone said immediately, because they love to win at everything. Very competitive person, started consistently winning, saw how fast I was improving, having fun and winning, instantly one of the best. And then this, I love this answer because this is so very honest. They saw that the ACL was going to have $1 million season, and they said, hey, the American Cornhole League is going to give out $1 million. I want a piece of that. Like, I'm gonna really take a go at this and like make something out of this. So those were some of the answers from the pros that I interviewed. And what you'll see there, the similarities of, I saw that I got like a glimpse of, maybe I can do this, and I ran with it. And that takes a lot of belief in yourself and a lot of confidence in yourself to say, I'm going to compete at a high level. So if that's where you are, if you have that spark, just know, like, not everybody has that spark. And I think it's important, because if you're in the world of cornhole, it might feel like everybody has that spark. But the truth is that, like, not everyone's meant to be a pro. Not everyone's meant to be elite at cornhole. And so if you have that desire, if you have that spark, it's important that you follow it and allow it to be there and nourish it and get really clear about why it's there, because it's not there from everybody. So the next thing we need to look at is motivation, why we want something. It is this bizarre sport, and you know what, maybe I shouldn't say bizarre sport, because I've never been much of a sports person, so this could be true of all sports. But what I have noticed about cornhole is that it doesn't take any sort of force to go play it. Like other things that we have in our lives, we probably have to maybe give ourselves, like, talk ourselves into it. Now, I come from the world of weight loss. That's my other passion that I help people with these kinds of principles. And what I find a lot there is there's a lot of force. Like, I need to exercise. I need to go to the gym. I have to do these things for my health. I have to meal plan. Like, there's all this, like, push-pull or resistance to doing the things that they say they want to do. This is not true of cornhole. There's very little force of needing motivation to do it. Even motivation to practice, it tends to be there. Now, I'm sure at the elite level, as we start to see some of the things I talk about, it could get less, and that's probably because of exactly what we're about to discuss. But my point in saying all this is that there's something called intrinsic motivation. And intrinsic motivation is where you don't have to force anything, because the reason you do it is purely because of the interest and enjoyment and inherent satisfaction. Like, there is no other benefit whatsoever. You just love to do it. So if you were, so when I play guitar, for example, that is not something that I ever intend to do anything with. Like, I don't want to get on a stage and play guitar for a group of people. I don't want to make money off of playing guitar. I truly just pick up my guitar because it brings me joy and it's something fun for me to do. I don't really have any external goal from it whatsoever. So that would be like an intrinsically motivated task for me. Um, and it could be that maybe there's a little bit of external, like maybe if I played it for someone and they said, wow, that was good, like that's feeding into that a little bit, but I really don't do that. So that would say that's intrinsic motivation. Now, with most of you with Cornhole, you're probably not so much in that category because if you look at a lot of these answers from these pros, and if you're honest with yourself, you're probably getting something out of it. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We just want to know what we're doing and why. So most of us are going to be coming from what's called extrinsic motivation, which means there's some kind of other motivational source aside from just the pure enjoyment and satisfaction of doing it. And there's 4 levels of extrinsic motivation, and I'm going to go over them just so that you can see you need that 4th one. To be successful long term, to be elite. And I want to explain those to you, and then I want to read to you some of the answers from the pros and see if you could identify where they're at, and then, of course, identify where you're at. So the lowest level of extrinsic motivation is called external regulation, and that's when you're truly doing something just for the external reward or to avoid punishment. And this is when you literally feel like you don't have much choice. So this is where a lot of people live when it comes to the weight loss world, which is why most of my work is getting them out of this space. Like, if you feel like I am so overweight, I have no choice but to exercise, you are going to have a really difficult time staying motivated for any significant amount of time. You're doing it for the reward of weight loss or to avoid weight gain. You don't feel like you have a choice because you feel like you got here and you shouldn't have gotten so out of shape, and everyone's judging me, and how did I get here? And this is a lot of what I deal with these kinds of clients. But with Cornhole, you're not really seeing that. You're seeing a lot less of that external sort of reward punishment conversation and a lot more choice. Like, we're typically choosing to play Cornhole. We're typically choosing to compete at higher levels. So not so much in the level 1. Level 2 of the extrinsic motivation is going to be called introjected regulation. And this one is also just as low motivating as the first one. And that's when you're doing something just to seek validation. Now, a lot of people might start there, but hopefully as time goes on, they start to recognize that's happening. If you're just seeking validation, you're very motivated for a short period of time, and eventually it peters out. And once again, going back to a weight loss example, you see this because people will start posting gym selfies and look at me, I did this, and congrats to me and kudos to me, look what I'm eating. So a lot of that seeking validation. This is not judging, by the way. I totally understand. You're trying to keep yourself motivated. You're trying to keep yourself accountable. But we do need to be honest about where our motivation's coming from so that we can stay consistent with what it is that we want. And so if the reason you're doing something is to get validation, and you're willing and vulnerable enough to admit that to yourself, we do want to look at this a bit deeper to see if we can find other reasons to be motivated away from the validation one. Just like I was talking about this intrinsic motivation, we need to move closer to doing things purely for ourselves, not for the approval of others or for validation from others, or to to avoid punishment or to get a reward only, like where you don't feel like you have any choice in the matter. So we want to get away from level 1 and level 2 of those motivation scales. Now we go into level 3, which is called identified regulation. And this is when achieving these goals or doing these tasks actually cause kind of an internal value. So you say like, well, when I do this, it makes me feel X, Y, or Z. So I like playing Cornhole, for example, and this is not me talking, I'm speaking for someone potentially. So I like playing Cornhole because when I win, it helps me feel good, and I like to feel good. So I am motivated by that feeling. Or it allows me to achieve success in something, and I really value being good and successful at things, and so I am motivated by that. Level 3 is going to be a lot easier to stay motivated, and of course level 4 being the ideal situation. Level 4 is integrated regulation, which means that when you achieve these goals or do these tasks, you see the value and it's consistent with your personal values and interests. So meaning you've actually gone a step farther to identify, like, this is the kind of life that I want to live when I'm being 100% honest with myself. Like, I want to feel these things, I want to live this way, and I see this cornhole in whatever form it's in as the thing that can help me actually achieve these goals that I have. And achieving these goals is for me. It's 100% highest level of autonomy, my choice. I'm not necessarily doing it for anybody else, although it might benefit other people. The true motivation is me, myself. And that's when we bring it internal, right? So what keeps you motivated is when you get internal value and benefit. What will keep you highly motivated in the short term is external, which is why you once again see this a lot in the weight loss industry. We see a lot of external and extrinsic motivations that get people very motivated at first, but it never lasts. And at some point it has to switch to internal. And so thinking about where you're at, why you do this, why do you throw bags, why do you throw bags so consistently, why do you sacrifice other things to play cornhole, and understanding that is going to be really important so that we make sure that we're doing and operating from something that can be maintained and can actually achieve the success that we want. And this is going to really come into play when you're having long days, right? Long tournament days when you're like, man, like I could really use some rest or some sleep, but I've got, 6 more matches. Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Or here's where you're really going to see it. You lose, and you lose bad, and you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, why am I doing this, right? Why do I keep going through the pain that is losing, which you're going to lose a lot, you know what I mean? It's just part of the game. So you have to know this stuff about yourself to get through these hardships of progressing at a higher level in the game. So I told you that I interviewed these pros, and I asked them, in the beginning, when you first started playing more competitively, what motivated you to do that? And here's some of the answers. We got getting a taste of the biggest stage, the natural drive to be the best, enjoying winning and accomplishing this with another person, so that sort of camaraderie or community, the competitiveness in my blood of wanting to be the best at everything I do. Someone said I want to be the best at everything I do, the motivation to not lose, that they can outwork anyone, they saw the potential in their game, and their competitiveness, that they hate losing and want to be the best. So this common theme, wanting to be the best. And if I was going to ask a follow-up question, my follow-up question, if you're having these kinds of thoughts, is why is it important to you to be the best? Why is that even a thing? I think naturally as humans, we want to be good at things. It gives us confidence. It makes us feel like we're living for a reason. Like we're striving and growing in life. We don't want to just be the same, and we're never really the same. So it's kind of like you're either getting better or getting worse in some sense. And so I understand it logically. I'm asking you to look at yourself and a little bit deeper and figure out, what is this really all about? Some other responses that I got from pros about, like, why are you motivated to keep going? Like I said, when you lose, especially when you lose a lot, it's going to be really hard to stay motivated to keep playing cornhole. Like, it is going to hurt. It's going to sting. When you miss a bag mid-round, like when you lose for your partner or your team, like these are hard moments emotionally. And you have to understand your motivation if you want to get through these and keep moving to the top, because those are those pinnacle moments where you're either going to get way better or you're going to play victim, pity party, and beat yourself up, and it's only going to get worse from there. So if you want to be the person that, boom, picks yourself back up and keeps going, doesn't dwell in it, then you've got to understand your motivation. So here's some responses from the pros when I asked them, what keeps you going? What allows you, even after losses, even after bad games, bad rounds, years of playing, seeing people be elite and knowing that, you have more work to put in, what keeps you going? Some answers: I'd watch other people around me play like 5 days a week, and this motivated them to do the same. holding myself at a very high standard. Know if I want to keep winning, I got to stay at the top. I love this one. As a kid, always dreamed of being a professional baseball player. Now, obviously, this isn't baseball, but this is really important. If you've had these dreams as a kid, like, not all kids have that dream. I know it sounds like, all kids would have that dream. Like, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an actress. Like, that sounds like every little girl's dream. But the truth is that those dreams that I had as a little kid, like, are playing out in different ways. Like, now I realize I don't want to be an actress at all. But the stuff behind why I wanted to be an actress is still 100% true today. I love being on a stage, performing on a mic. Like, this is all happening for me. So if you have those dreams as a kid, there's a reason. I want it really bad because cornhole is all I have in my life right now. So talking about really connecting this to the rest of their life, like we talked about in that 4th level of motivation. I see players having success, and I just want to experience it more often. I love the sport. I love the growth in the nation for the sport. I love the atmosphere, players, friends, family. I don't like losing. I want to be the best. Be the best. Prize pool, getting on television. I love this honesty. Be honest with yourself. Is it about the money? That's fine. Is it about getting on TV? That's fine. But just know that. Know that's what it's about. The lifestyle I currently have is something I want to keep. This is a really great one for this level 4 motivation because this goal is literally what's driving the lifestyle. Like, I have this lifestyle because of cornhole, and I'm not trying to lose that. Like, this is important. Love the sport, love the competition, want to support my mom without having her to work anymore. What an amazing motivation. Remember, if you have a motivation like that, like I want to support someone in my family, I want to, retire this person or not make my spouse have to work, those are great. Just make sure you connect it back to you. So like, I want to be able to support my mom so she doesn't have to work anymore so that it does this for me. Like, it always has to connect back to you. External motivation is cool, it's there, but it has to come back to your internal to keep it going and just to be honest with yourself. My husband and I enjoy the game. I know I can do this. I want to be the best. Opportunities given, amount of money you can make. Want to be the best the sport has to offer, and to be able to do it full time, make a living off of it. So now your goal might not be to be a pro or to make a living off of it. And if it is, then know that. If it's not, and you just want to be the best in your area, like, that's fine too. I mean, just kind of get clear. So why are you motivated to be whatever you want to be in this sport? Remember, we're going to talk about more specifically how this all plays into the actual gameplay as the week progresses, but we're starting at the foundation here. But everything we do for the next 4 days is going to affect how you play on the court. So I want you to get deeper into your motivations, why you want this, why this is important to you. And a question I think you should ask yourself, just to make sure you're not only doing this for the approval or validation of other people, is, would you still want to do this if nobody else could witness it? Like, would you still be as motivated to be the best if there's nobody to witness it? And I think that's important to explore. So I want to summarize everything really quick here, and then I'll let you guys go. So know why you want what you want. What's the motivation? Why is this important to you? And then try to see if you can align with that level 4 of extrinsic motivation, where you're doing it for you, not the approval of others, and where you see how achieving this goal helps you get what you want from your life in general. How can you connect this to your entire life? Like, how this impacts your life and your internal processes. And I think what's a really important exercise to do is just write out a list. It doesn't have to, give it 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Write out a list of the top 10 things that you want to feel in your life. Like, maybe you want to feel more at peace or less chaotic or whatever. So write down what you want. Maybe you want to feel wealthy. And write out what you want, and then see how this cornhole thing that you're so excited about can help you with those. If you're not feeling that way, if you're like, man, this seems kind of silly, like, I don't really see how playing cornhole can help me achieve all these things in my life, then probably being the top player in the world is not on the horizon for you, because it really has to be integrated into your entire life to be elite. So connect your goals to something deeper and more honest. It's not just about being the best. Why do you want to be the best? Why is that important to you? What is it that you really want? Why do you really want it? So just explore some of these topics so that we can get that foundation. And then I want to talk tomorrow, just sort of building from what we're talking about today, And what we're going to talk about tomorrow is preventing the mindset traps. So like now that you're like, all right, I'm clear on what I want and why I want it. Now I just want to achieve it. Like I want nothing to get in my way. Well, there are mindset tricks and traps and things like that that happen just because we're human, just because of the way the behavior and humanness and psychology work. So we're going to go over those to help you avoid them tomorrow, but we're going to do it on Instagram. Like I said, I'm testing each platform. So tomorrow I'll be on Instagram at Cornhole Mish. We're going to talk about avoiding mindset traps, avoiding things that can get in the way of you getting what you want out of your life, out of Cornhole, out of everything. So meet me over there. Do me a favor. If you liked this video, please give it a share. Let other people know that this was helpful for you. So that they can benefit from it. I just want to give information and try to help people out on the mental side of the cornhole game because there's not a lot of information out there about it. And this is my area of expertise. So please share this if you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment if you'd like. And I'll see you over on Instagram, same time tomorrow, talking about mindset traps and tricks. And we will do it all over there next. Thanks, guys.